Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into another edition of the JP Peterson Show. I want to make sure we're doing all this right. Sorry, I'm having a little computer trouble.
Uh-oh.
Yes, I think we're good to go.
It's not even Monday.
It's not even Monday, but it is a very somber day here on the JP Peterson Show as we remember the life and celebrate the life of one Monte Kiffin. In my mind, one of the greatest football coaches in the history of the NFL and college football as well, as he went on to help Lane, his son, at many stops. But a defensive mastermind, no doubt. I hasten to describe him as an assistant coach. He never was a head coach, but he was maybe the greatest defensive coach in the history of the game. And many will, of course, we could debate that, but not today, because in Tampa Bay, there is no question that Monte Kiffin is an icon. He's a Ring of Honor, Hall of Famer. He is the best. And I got to know him for many, many years covering these Buccaneers. So we'll talk much about the life of Monte Kiffin through this broadcast today. Ronde Barber will join us, maybe a man who knows and appreciates Monte Kiffin better than anyone else, a Hall of Famer himself, will join us at 10:15. TJ Rives, who was on the sideline for all of those great Monte Kiffin exploits and those great defensive teams, will join us around 11 o'clock. And then Dexter Jackson, also Super Bowl MVP. We will try to catch up with him. We're still trying to confirm. He's got some other things going on, but he's trying to rearrange his schedule so he can come on today, and we really appreciate that. So we will be talking a lot about the great Monte Kiffin as we go through the day here. Good morning to you, Tim Ham, from our DSP affiliate there in Dallas. How are you?
Doing well. Good morning.
I know from afar, you could probably appreciate the exploits of one Monte Kiffin.
Oh, for sure. We had him here in Dallas, for a couple of years in the early 2013, 2014-ish. Served as the defensive coordinator in 2013, and then he was assistant head coach for the defense the following season. Wasn't here for a long time, but that was certainly in my realm of Cowboys consciousness and, hanging out at the time Valley Ranch. And, I got to meet him a couple of times, just couldn't, I love old people anyway. I really do. And he was just one of those guys that you were drawn to, and it wasn't even about football. He just had stories about life and things like that. And, I certainly did not know him as well as you did, but, it was just, and I tell stories all the time. He is one of the sweetest people I've ever met, aside from sports, just in life, that I've ever met. And it was amazing.
Now, if you were being coached by him defensively, you might not use the word sweetest.
Sure.
But beloved was probably what the use. As hard as Monty was on his players and as much as he was yelling at them, I can't really do a good Monte Kiffin. But he was there. He's always just talking like this. Let me tell you. When he ran that sweep coming around the other side, I don't know where they go. We had a double tight coming down.
Right.
It is just like you'd interview Monty and like, what the hell did we just see? What the hell did we just hear? And but he was the mad scientist.
Yeah,
he looked like the mad scientist, Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future.
I did.
He looked like Doc Brown, and he kind of acted like him. Like if I'd swear to God that Christopher Lloyd met Monte Kiffin and patterned that character after him. Hey, this is where it's going. 70 gigawatts. This is where it's going. That was Monte Kiffin.
Funny,
he was the mad scientist. And you would go back and look at the interviews, and though it may not have made sense at the time, you would that makes sense. Yeah, I know exactly what he was saying.
Right.
They had to go back to the tape and look at it about 3 or 4 times just to make sure. And beyond that, and the interviews were just classic. And every Wednesday, we'd look forward to talking to Monty, and you just go off on these tangents.
Right.
And of course, in television, you're looking for the 12 to 16 second soundbite. Anything over 20, we're really pushing it. Anything over 30, I mean, you can't have it. We only have 2.5 minutes for our 6 o'clock sportscast. We can't be doing 30-second soundbite. But with Monty, you couldn't cut it because it would meander everywhere. And one of our competitors, the Fox 13, Chip Carter, used to just say, you know what, screw it. We're going to devote 5 to 10 minutes to have Monty on. So they do a whole sit down with. I was very jealous of that, by the way, Chip Carter.
Yeah,
they do a whole sit down with him, and you could really let him run. Really let him go, and understand the genius of his work. So those are some of my main remembrances of Monte Kiffin, and one of my latest ones, and this was an absolute privilege and honor at the Tampa Bay Sports Club Hall of Fame inductions. I believe it's for last year. So the 23 class, we inducted Monte Kiffin in, and so Monty was pretty frail at that point, and his whole family was there. His daughter Heidi, a friend of mine, and a lot of his family were there. And we kind of get him up on stage, and we started. We tried to allot 10 minutes for each and every. And I told the people, I said, this is gonna be a little bit longer than 10 minutes. We gotta give Monty some leeway because there's gonna be some great stories here. So, and he went. He probably went for a good 15-20 minutes, and then he starts to leave the stage, and I'm going to help him. I posted a picture of this on social today, and I'm going to help him, and somebody yells out, "We love you, Monty," as he's coming slowly off the stage, because we're trying to keep the applause going until he gets up. "We love you, Monty." He looks up and he goes, "I love you too," and then he starts talking. He just starts another story. Yeah. He's not at the microphone, so I grabbed the wireless mic, and I say, "Well, hell, we're not going to miss this.
Oh, let's go."
So I walk over, and we're on the front of the stage now, and he's telling another story, and that went on for another. And somebody else yelled out something. He goes, "Oh, I remember that." Here we go again.
That's awesome.
And so I'm just standing at the front with the wireless mic, just holding it for him, and that's awesome. Of course, it's my job to keep things on time, but there ain't no way in the world I'm stopping this. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
So, so a couple more great stories were heard, and a magical night was had. And, Monty was a great focus of that. Just an incredible person. And we're going to hear some great stories here today from Ronde Barber and some others. So, really looking forward to it as we really kind of celebrate the life. I know it's tragic. At 84 years old, he passes. Obviously, survived by his children, Lane and Heidi, and I think George is the other one. Apologize for not knowing the other son's name. But again, a great family, a great football family. I mean, and I always thought it was great that Lane would always, Monty was always there at his side wherever he went. He was still at Ole Miss working and doing things and coming up with great, he had such a great eye for the game. He came up, obviously, he was the architect of the Tampa 2, which was, a very basic defense. There's not a whole lot of genius in it. The genius in the Tampa 2 is the adjustments that they can make during the game. And Ronde and Dexter will be able to elaborate on this much better than I. But how they could adjust, and he loved smart football players. And you go look at the guys that really shined in his system. They were all brilliant guys. That whole Tampa 2 defense. Dexter, just incredible football IQ. Ronde, John Lynch, Sapp. I mean, it was such a film guy. Derek Brooks, Shelton Quarles, who's going to join us next week to talk a little bit about Monty. To all these guys, Shelton was a Vanderbilt guy. These guys loved super smart players because there was so much in his defense that you needed to learn to make the adjustments right before the play, disguising things and the way they ran it. And so everybody tried to copy it. Everybody tried to copy the Tampa 2, and you really couldn't because you had to have just this elaborate group of really high football IQ players who were also incredibly physically talented as well. And So it was just a great secret sauce. And that defense, man, that defense for that 6-year run, they finally won the Super Bowl in 2002, was, I mean, you go back and look at those numbers. They were top 5 every single year, I think 6 years in a row. The Super Bowl season, their numbers, I think they allowed 11 points a game. I think it was some ridiculous number. Literally, I mean, talk about the steel curtain. You talk about Ray Lewis's Ravens defense. We'll give you the Dallas Doomsday defense. We'll give you that one. You start ranking the greatest defenses in the history of the game. The Tampa 2, that 2002 team, and what they did in that time has to be top 3. I think it has to be top 3. And Monte is, recognized by the Hall of Fame for his accomplishments as an assistant coach and honored there. So the legacy will live on forever. Obviously, in the Ring of Honor, his name is up there in the rafters there in the Ring of Honor. In fact, it was funny last night. Jelly Roll and Morgan Wallen were at the concert last night at Raymond James Stadium, and his daughter Heidi was there, and took a video that kind of panned over from that great Jelly Roll song and then over to his name on the Ring of Honor, which was really, really cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people were thinking about Monte last night at that stadium. A lot of Bucs fans will never forget him. He was absolutely iconic, an incredible innovator, one of a kind human being. I mean, just never, you met him, you never forget him. And the way even watching practice and listening to him at practice was a treat. You know, one of the great things about going out to training camp back in the day was we could hang out, all day long and watch practice, watch the whole thing. And just listening to Monte was entertainment enough, and just him yelling and screaming at the guys, but always with a purpose and always with, a loving hand, that velvet hammer, so to speak. And the guys just love playing for him, just absolutely love playing for him. And you'll hear that in the voices of the people that we bring on today. So very much looking forward to that. All right, real quick before we get to some of that, absolutely incredible win last night by the Rays over the Yankees. Incredible finish to the game too, as Jose Caballero with 2 runners on, 2 outs, runners moving on the play, a little pop-up behind short, and Siri was playing deep. He had to go back and get it, and makes the catch, incredible basket catch with his back to the infield to save the game with Pete Fairbanks on the mound. And as he goes to celebrate, the ball comes out of his mitt, and in real time, it kind of looked like he snow coned it, and it flipped out. And you're like, oh my God, did this just really happen? Did this really happen? And the Yankees challenged it, as they should. But when you saw it in slow motion, it was clearly a catch and clearly came out on the celebration. And you're like, whew, wow, that was, because that is not the way you want to lose a series and lose a game to the New York Yankees.
Wouldn't that be just about just about right for the Rays, though, at this point, the way things are going for them? Like that just.
Yeah, for the call to go against them. Yeah, just the fact that he caught it and the call to go against him. Yeah, it was some weird stuff going on in the game. Grisham, the center fielder, just absolutely lollygagged after one of series that shot that maybe he thought was going out that ended up hitting the warning track.
Yeah,
didn't even hit the wall. I mean, he's already been under fire for lollygagging out there. There was another one that hit the. Well, Kevin Cash certainly thought hit the ring, Yandy Diaz blast, and they ruled it a double. Now Rosarena hits a home run, it becomes irrelevant. But I think Cash was right. That ball definitely hit the C ring, and that's a home run. It's C or D ring, it's a home run. So weird game last night, but Fairbanks closed it up. So I think it's only fitting that we hear the great Pete Fairbanks, a treasure of a post game interview. Let's go ahead and roll this as he encapsulates the all-encompassing.
Got tight there
soccer.
at the end. Those back-to-back walks. Judge gets the fly out, Rice the RBI, but then you get out of it. Take me through just what was key there in that situation.
Fielding my position. I think maybe if I throw that ball up the line, things could have turned out way worse. But we got the outs when we needed to get the outs, and as they say, all's well that ends well, when they signaled that it was on the transfer. Unlike Dez, he caught it.
I was going to say,
Talking about Des
Caballero.
Bryant?
What did you see there from that basket catch? Were you pretty sure he caught it?
Des got it.
I thought that somebody was going to be like camped underneath it. Apparently, I was not in tune with our defensive alignment. But an out is an out, and I'm glad that the ball came out of his glove when he started celebrating and not prior to that.
Okay, well, prior to that, Jason Adam, he gets some big outs in that game, striking out Soto in a big situation, striking out Judge. What was impressive about him?
The changeup was pretty good. Both breaking balls. I mean, when he gets going, he's very, very good, and hopefully the Caper 9 keeps rising, and we keep seeing outings like that. You got something, Mark. Hit me.
We talk a lot about clutch hits. It seems like between the 6 relievers tonight, you guys got some pretty clutch outs at various times. How significant was that?
Well, we won, Mark. We won, so I'd say it was pretty significant.
How much pride you guys take
not wrong.
coming through in those type of situations?
He's the best.
Well, Mark, it beats the alternative, so I'd say we take a pretty good amount of pride in it.
Just the way you guys bounce back from the sweep in Texas to win a series here heading into the All-Star break soon.
Yeah, I mean, the Texas was, I'm pretty sure I know I had a disastrous outing last year in Texas. I know that we have, I'm pretty sure lost 6 straight in that building. So maybe if we stay out of Globe Life for as much as we possibly can and continue along the trend that we've set outside of that concert venue.
Concert venue.
Come on
He's
now.
the best. He is the best. The all-encompassing suck.
It's not even a good concert venue. Come on.
Is it bad for that too?
The acoustics are terrible.
Yeah. It's
It
an
just
ugly
looks like
ballpark.
a big grill from the outside.
It really does. It really.
But
Yeah,
you know what? Here in Texas, we finally get to watch baseball in the summertime when it's not 108 degrees in your seats. So I don't give a crap what it looks like.
And a very convenient location. What a concept for a baseball park.
And we got a World Series.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right. Well, let's bring in the Hall of Famer, the man, the myth. He is the great Ronde Barber on a bit of a somber day, but as I know you will, Ronde, we're going to celebrate the life of a man that was an absolute. He was a treasure. He was a treasure and unique, one of one, icon, innovator, motivator, everything. Good morning to you, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. All those things times 1,000, JP. It's impossible to put words on it that I'm sure everybody else has already said. I've read a couple of articles last night, this morning, trying to encompass what Monte Kiffin was to, not just us, but to professional football, college football.
Yeah.
The guy was absolute legend, and he did it with such a big heart, JP. It's impossible for any of us that played for him to not feel the loss. He was family. This league, this sport has seen a lot of great men come and go. I would dare to say there's none quite as unique as Monte Kiffin did. The manner in which he did his job for us and for all the teams that he coached for, but most specifically the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it was special. It was special, and everybody around the league knows it.
Well, before we get into the X's and O's of it, I want to touch on what you first mentioned and him as a human being. It was kind of a velvet hammer, was it not? I mean, he would get after you guys. I was just telling the stories that just the most entertaining thing at training camp was just listening to Monty get after your ass. And
right.
And what was that like? Just knowing that he loved you so much and he would do anything for you and he had your back, but he was going to get after you.
Well, it was the expectation that he set in front of us long before you guys ever saw us on the field.
Yeah.
And it was the rules with which we lived by were staked firmly in the ground prior to any of us ever backpedaling, going and making a hit or a tackle. We look at our agenda for the day every single day, JP, and it wasn't just going over the X's and O's or the repping the concepts of cover 2 or whatever. It was, we're going to do key drill, we're going to do pursuit drill, we're going to do tackling drill, we're going to do the minutia so many times that by the time that we get to the aspects of our defense, we were already repped and prepared for what really mattered in the game, and that was hitting, tackling, and hustling. And the way that he did it, it wasn't like putting his foot on our throat. He put it on us. He made those expectations our expectations, so that we went out there and chased them our own. Last night, JP, we had a big Zoom with a bunch of guys that had been around, coaches, players, and the one thing that we talked about was Rod Marinelli and Lovie Smith sitting at the goal line with their thumbs up or thumbs down, whether or not we ran fast enough to get to the ball. And those little things made Monty just an awesome coach. And I'll never forget the moments, the good and the bad, because I came into this situation here in Tampa not quite good enough, as you know, and it was because of his belief in me, and then him allowing me to evolve as a player and then accelerate me as a player. The reason I became the football player that I did. But I'm going to miss him. I saw him recently. Obviously, he was at the Hall of Fame with me last year about this time, honestly. And you knew that his health was failing. You knew that he was just getting old. But the uniqueness that was Monty was still there. He was still alive at 84 years old. And it's a sad day.
That's so well put. And, when you talk about the way he motivated you guys, can you get into a little bit of that? Like what some of the little sayings that he had, things that, he would do kind of behind the scenes. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. You know what? Monty was, when you talk about leadership, and obviously we always talk about football leadership, we talk about the guys on the field. But leadership in our building was Monty, and it was unique. And I think there's I don't know who said it. It's probably Julius Caesar. It's an old quote. But when you're talking about leadership, it said you got to give them the bread, the X's and O's, all the stuff that they need to know, and the circuses. And Monty was an entertainment man. Yeah, he was funny. He was serious. He was smart as hell. Even though he would say, this is insight. He was like, hey man, you know where I went to school, right? And we were like, yeah, we know you went to Nebraska, Monty. And he goes, well, you know what that N on the helmet stands for, right? And we were like, no, Monty. He goes, stands for knowledge. He just give us quotes like that all the time, man. And we'd come into the meeting room on Saturday. And over the years, this evolved into, your assistant coaches, Mike Tomlin, Raheem, some of the younger guys, Jimmy Lake, taking over the DJ booth. But when Monty had the DJ booth, he would come in and I feel good James Brown is playing. And he'd get up and start doing his little shimmy. And, he gave us everything that we needed to be, not just robots on football field, right. Not just doing our jobs on the football field, but also, becoming, lively men, well-rounded. And that's what he was. And the consistency with which he came to work every single day, that energy, unparalleled, man. It's unparalleled.
Ronde, I covered the Cowboys when he was here with the Cowboys in the early teens. Talked to several Cowboys players about Monty back in the day and since. And they always told me that they likened him to more of a college-style coach than a pro coach for them, because he was always more of trying to be a father figure for them and, helping them, kind of treating them like teenagers that needed to be, molded a little bit, and helping them with not just football, but with life. Did you kind of get that impression too?
Yeah, that's exactly who he was. I mean, I texted Lane and Heidi yesterday and had to pass it on to Chris as well. But I was like, we all feel this loss because he wasn't just our coach. He was family, and even when you were gone, even when you were done playing, or after, in my case, after he left to go to work with his son in Tennessee and then California and then wherever else, he'd always stay in touch. He'd call you and be like, and I'm sure he knew this already, but he would call me and be like, Ronnie, what was that one play against Washington in 1999? And I'm like, yeah, Monty, it was the play. Da, da, da. He's yeah, that's it. Do you remember what you were thinking on that play? And you're like, maybe I don't know, but he just wanted to talk. He
just wanted to call and talk to you. Yeah,
he just wanted to live football. And that your point is well taken, because normal coaches don't do that. Only guys that have father figure roles in your life care enough for you to continue to be that for you. And Monty was definitely it. Man, we lost a good one, man. His influence spread so far. We probably don't even recognize how many Monty disciples there are. But there's a bunch of head coaches, a bunch of coordinators. There's loads and loads of assistants that are still in the NFL, probably in college, that go to work every day. And what they learned under Monty, they're still using in their meeting rooms and on the field now.
Ronde Barber joining us here. I said earlier that you used to call him this too, the mad scientist. We all did. And I swear Christopher Lloyd must have met Monte Kiffin somewhere along and patterned that Doc Brown character after Monty. It was a dead ringer. Am I lying?
That's exactly right.
But give me some insight into his intellect, maybe a story or two of where, and it wasn't just the Tampa 2 concepts. It was breaking down film on a weekly basis, and he would see things that maybe other people didn't see and then translate them to you guys to execute. Right.
Yeah. Monty, I mean, obviously we called him mad scientist because he'd come up with all kinds of blitzes and, not really coverages. We were pretty sound coverage wise. We played cover 2. We played forms of cover 3. We talked about doing quarters coverage, which is very, very vogue today, but we only did it very sparingly. But Monty spent his time, like never left the building, spending his time coming up with ways to solve problems. So, I don't know if you know this, but the way that we ran our defense, we would name almost every single play that we got. So somebody ran a play against us and we had never seen it before, or it was unique and we didn't stop it. He would name it after the team that ran against us, right? So it would be, say, the Philly play or the Tennessee Titans play. And he would go through an entire off season and try to figure out how to solve those problems, right? And so when we came into work in the next season, somebody get up there and draw Titan play, whatever. All right, this is how we're going to play it versus this coverage. This is how we're going to play it versus this X coverage. And when we run a blitz, this is going to cover this up. And he was always so detailed in it because he spent so much time,
thinking about
on the couch, honestly, trying
at the old
one buck, where all the rats and coaches were, man, and trying to figure out how to solve it. So his intellect was really his hard work, and we were all aware of it. It's not as if any of us just realized he did this on the spur of the moment. I got the solution. We knew he put the work in, so we all wanted to put the work in too because he did that work. I know he drove his assistants crazy. I remember when Raheem was first here as assistant to Mike T, and if Monty was in the building, he had to be in the building. Same with Jimmy Lake, same with all these young coaches that came through here. It was like Monty would just grind you to a halt, but he was also very mindful of their time, and I think they all knew that they were going to be rewarded for the work that he put in and that we collectively put in. And I mean, there's a reason the Pro Football Hall of Fame gave him the award for excellence this year. It was probably long overdue. I mean, you got Hall of Famers in there. I mean, somebody's responsible, and the head coach is already there. So it was nice to see that award was bestowed on him before he passed, because I know how much it would have meant to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was great. It was great to see him enjoy that and feel that. And I hate to call him an assistant coach. I try to just call him a coach, and people would say, why did Monty never become a head coach? And they would ask me, and I would say, it's just, it wouldn't be right. I don't, it would somehow change him. And I would never want to see that. I know I'm not expressing this in the right way, but can you express it?
Yeah, you're saying the right things. There's a minutia that comes with being a head coach that just didn't fit his personality. There's the
much better
dealing with guys like you on a daily basis, right? He only had to talk to you guys once a week. It's having to lord over an entire team and make decisions with your front office. And not that he couldn't do that, but it really just didn't fit his MO. His MO was I'm gonna put my head down. I'm going to figure out how to make whatever problem that we have better for our players, and then I'm going to go, figure out how to call a game. Having to deal with all the other stuff, I just don't think it just wasn't him. And like you said, I mean, this is a kind of a tongue-in-cheek comment that we keep making about him, but he was Doc Brown. He was a mad scientist, man. Like, I don't think that interviewed well.
I know, exactly. When he interviewed for head coaching, and how many head coaches have we seen, that just should have stayed assistant coaches? Should have, know your lane.
Hey,
and yeah, right?
It's a hard lane lane to stay in sometimes because the money looks different in that lane than it does in this lane. But there's a reason Monty was at one point the highest paid assistant in the NFL. At one point, he was the highest paid assistant in college football. The guy had an energy to him that I think redefined how you coach. And if anybody was ever around him as a coach, you know that's the bare minimum energy. Like, you better have more than that to be better than Monte Kiffin was. So he was special, man. And I think we're all realizing it as you hear and talk to more people about him. More and more of these types of stories will come out, and people will really understand what he was. He wasn't just Tampa 2 defense. He was a lot more than that.
I had an opportunity to talk to him again when he was here in Dallas about back when he was at Nebraska. He was there, of course, with Tom Osborne when the head coaching job became available. And it was between him and Tom. And, of course, Tom got picked, and he stayed on as the DC. And I remember asking him, I was with a couple of other reporters there. I was like, well, how do you think it had gone if you'd have taken over instead of Tom as the head coach? He's like, oh, Tom, wonderful. They did everything they could under him. Fine job, national championships. It was the right decision. And then as everybody's walking away, he looks at me, he kind of goes tongue in cheek. He goes, I'd have won more titles.
Well, he went to NC State. He was a head coach for 3 years there. I can't remember what his record was. He always talks about it as, that was one of my average periods in life. But everybody knew how talented the dude was. It was just, it's hard to be a head coach. And obviously you go to Nebraska, especially then, you're going to win because you had all the talent in the world. Obviously, it's changed now. But
150 players on scholarship too.
Exactly.
The old days.
Back in the Big 8 days, man.
Exactly. Do you have a couple just Monty stories that you could share?
Yeah, I got so many Monty stories, man.
Go ahead.
Monty and I had a unique relationship because at one point in the whole Tampa kind of deal, I wasn't part of that big 3, So I remember those years when I was trying to come up and trying to prove my self-worth and my worth to the team. And I think Monty always kind of, I want to say he didn't want to believe that I was as good as I was at first, right? But then I got on the field my second year, and he was like, oh, okay, this kid can play, right? But the story where he couldn't pronounce my name, right? Where I said it in my Hall of Fame speech. He called me Randy all the time, and then I ran with everything. He's like, Randy, Ronde, whatever, we're calling you Randy. But it was affectionate, that story was phenomenal. One of the best stories I have about Monty, and it was really a story about our belief in each other. It was in 2008 when we drafted Aqib Talib, and he was gonna midway through the season he was gonna bench me, and we had a long week. It wasn't a great week, I'll say that. Me and Monty have had a lot of good weeks. This was not a good week, and then we get on Friday, and he pops into my office, or my confiscated office down at the new One Buc. It was an old players' meeting room where I used to watch film, and we had it out. We had a long talk. I won't say what was said in there, but come to work on Monday, and he tells me, I can't do it. Ronde's starting. I just can't do it. You gave me too much to this franchise, to this team. Nobody else wants you to not start except for me, and you're going to play. You're going to start this weekend. I'm still going to play, but he's like, you're going to start this weekend. I was against Detroit in 2008, and I went out and had interception for a touchdown. And I was telling these guys last night when I was talking to them, it was like, think about it. It was 2008, JP. Like I was seeing the end of my career, right? Like that week.
Yeah.
It springboarded the next 4 years of my career, which certainly got me to where my final destination in pro football. But it was because of Monty's belief in me. Like he was trying to not offend me, but he was trying to find a way to make the team better, and it didn't include me at the time. And I've always lived with motivation, right? I've needed external motivation. I needed people not to believe in me.
It was a little kick in the ass, wasn't it?
Right. For 1 minute, it was what I needed.
Right.
And Monte Kiffin gave that to me. And I'm sure he didn't do that on purpose. But it's kind of a deep dive into what our relationship was like, even when I was 32 or 33 years old. And I give all the credit in the world to Monte Kiffin. He put me on my path, man, and I'll forever be grateful for it.
That's a hell of a story.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a story. And the Tampa 2, take me through the evolution of that, because it evolved, right? It's just, and it evolved. As I said in the beginning, Monty loved smart football players and demanded it. And I just went through the roster of your Super Bowl team, and that was the years leading up to, and I said, every one of those guys, football IQ off the freaking charts.
Yes.
So take us in the back room, how it evolved and how that, Monty's intelligence fed through your intelligence, the players, and it just became this like organic defense that could adjust to anything on the fly.
Yeah, I'll try not to make this too long of an answer here, JP, because the evolution is significant. So, I mean, this defense started back in Pittsburgh in the 70s. And what was unique about Tampa 2 versus regular cover 2 is that you needed a middle linebacker. In our case, it was Hardy Nickerson. And then it was Shelton Quarles. Jamie Duncan was in there for a minute, but it was guys that had the athleticism to run through the middle of the field. So essentially, you had 2 high safeties. You also had a middle run-through player coming between those safeties that covered up the middle part of the field. So the deep middle was never occupied. So you do the math on that, and you're vacating the middle of the field with a middle linebacker. And so now you only have 2 underneath defenders. One was the Will linebacker, one was the Sam linebacker / the nickel. So the reason why Derek and I made so many plays is because we had to understand that there's a third guy missing there, and the 2 seam droppers, me and Derek, had to make all those underneath plays. And there's really only one way to do that, and that's to understand the concepts that are coming at you. That's why we named all our plays. That's why we had to have that like nonverbal communication about what was going to happen to us. So think about it in simple terms, right? In every offensive set, you can only have 5 releasers, right? You only have 5 releasers, whether it's tight ends, receivers, running backs, whatever. Wherever that third releaser vacated to, whatever side of the field, that was primarily where the quarterback was looking to go. You just had to know that, right? So if I'm the nickel back on the right side and a third receiver comes to my area, I have to work outwards towards that. And then the other seam defender, who only has 2 over here, has to start cheating that way. Yeah. And it was like this dance between underneath linebackers or coverage guys, me and Derek, or Derek and the Sam linebacker, and we just perfected it. And then it evolved from there into like really jumping routes. That's why I had so many interceptions at nickel. That's why Derek had so many interceptions at will linebacker, because there was nothing you could give us that we hadn't already seen or had named or understood what was coming at us. And then we knew we were protected the whole time with the middle linebacker in the middle of the field.
You had help, right?
Right. 2 corners in the flat. That's what Tampa 2 became. But then we got really good at disguising Tampa 2 and running blitzes off of it. And quarterbacks going, what the hell is going on right now? It's like Ronde was supposed to be a seam dropper. Now he's blitzing through the A gap. The safety was supposed to be dropping into cover 2, and now Dexter Jackson's coming off the edge. It was a really neat to be in a defense that was simple enough for everybody to understand, but free enough where we could just kind of create whatever magic we needed to each particular week. And Monty was the architect of all that, and he let us be organic, like you said, and he let us go chase, making plays. There's a reason why we led the league in sacks, yardage allowed, interceptions,
takeaways.
Particular stat you want to name. At one point during that 10-year run, let's say, we were the best in the league at it, and it was pretty awesome to be a part of.
Best defense ever. I know where your vote is.
I think so. I mean, if you need greatness at each level to be considered the greatest of all time, we had it. And obviously we had a great head coach in Tony, and we had a great defensive coordinator in Monty.
Both in the Hall of Fame. Lynch.
Yeah,
Brooks,
You just put the numbers on it, and I would say that if we're not in the discussion, people are blinded by hubris.
The name Tampa.
Yes,
it's
yes.
not. This is
Blinded by
we know the prejudice towards the small market Tampa.
Yes.
We know all about that. And I think, and to wrap this up, Ronnie, it comes back to trust, human connection between you and your coach and your player and your players.
Yep.
And it's that, I've seen it in these championship teams. It is family. I know it sounds a little trite and cliche, but it's just like family. It's like brothers. It's like that's your dad. You don't want to disappoint him, but you can yell at him and he can yell at you. And at the end, you're still going to love each other. You're going to get the point across. The intensity is going to be there. And that's the secret sauce. That's the key to success. It comes down to relationships and trust.
Well, people want to say on any particular Sunday, you have to be there for each other. But the reality is it's Monday after the game. It's the Tuesday, your off day. You're taking care of yourself. You're taking care not to put yourself in a position where we're no longer going to be able to help the team. Are you coming to work on Wednesday and learning and then grinding on that afternoon's practice and Thursday to perfect it, and then Friday to tie a bow on it, and then take care of yourself Friday night before you go on the road or playing at home on Saturday in the hotel? We had that, and it was largely because Monte Kiffin, like I said earlier, put that expectation on us, and there was no deviating. There was no excuses. There was no explanations. All you had to do was show up and do your job, and we would win. And he made it that simple. No excuses, no explanations. Show up and do your job, hustle and hit, and we will win. And we did. Monty's a unique individual, man. I'll end with this, JP. The guy was 84 years old, and Peyton Manning texted me last night, and I told him the story. And I don't know if a lot of people knew this, but Monty was born in 1940. You know what 1940 was? A leap year. He was born on 1940 on February 29th. He died in a leap year.
I did not know that.
2024. So technically, Monty was only 21 years old.
Yeah. I only had 21
I told Peyton last night, I was like, only the good die young. He was 21. He was a hell of a young man at 84. It was pretty special.
What a man. Can I sneak in one question about this Bucs offseason? How you feeling? I feel like I'm not being objective about this team, but I feel like Jason just did such an unbelievable job.
Yeah.
This team is ready to do something special. If not this year, maybe next year, but it filled every hole. I love the defense. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not ready to answer all my Bucs questions because I haven't yet dove into to where the roster has developed yet. I mean, I will here probably next week, but I'll answer that question by saying something I've been saying all year, actually. And I didn't get this from Jason. I didn't get it from John or Mike Beal or Greeny or Jackie or all these other guys in the front office, Rob McCartney.
Yeah.
We don't give them enough credit for what they've done for this football team over the last decade. It's incredible what they've done. How they've remodeled, retweaked, added here, subtracted there at precisely the right time. Jason Light doesn't get nearly the credit he should for a team that he continues to put together. The winning team. We won 4 straight NFC South championships, and you can say all you want to about the South being weak. You still have to go out and win games when they matter, and they have. I feel good about this team just like I felt good about them last year. I love the energy that Baker brings. What I don't know is how good Liam Cohen is. I think he's a good player, a good offensive coordinator. He made Baker a good player the latter part of his time in LA.
Yeah, crazy.
Before he went to Kentucky for a year, and I think the offense will evolve even more under him. He's got great energy. I think they've made the right moves. Signing Mike back, getting Levante back, and most importantly, probably getting Jordan Whitehead back. I mean, for me, if you paid any attention to the Bucs 3 years ago, whenever I talked about the Bucs, I talked about Jordan Whitehead, dude.
Yep.
He is a hell of a football player. And adding him to Antoine, who is the best safety in football, by the way, I think solidifies that backfield. We need Zion to come along. He needs to turn into the player he looks like he should be.
Yeah.
He had a offseason. Watched some of their practice film. He had a great offseason. And I think we got better up front on the offensive line, man. Just bringing in Graham Barton, man. The guy's different. I mean, personality-wise, he's different. Physically, he's different. I think we all figured out that Luke Gedeke is a better offensive tackle than he was offensive guard.
Much better.
Those questions can just go out the window. People should just shut the hell up and say and just realize that he's a good player. I like where we're at. I like the running back we drafted. He's dynamic. He'll help us. Again, they make great moves. Jason Light does not get enough credit. They made it.
We were promised a boat parade if you got it all done, and I'm it's gassed up and ready. I mean, where are we at, Jason? Let's go. We're all going to Beer Can.
That happens, JP. I'm making the trip to Tampa. I'm getting on the boat.
Come on up. You'd enjoy it. You know you would.
I would. Oh, for sure.
3 years ago today, we were doing the Lightning boat parade. Yeah. So let's get it done. We need another one. Ronde, I thank you, man. I always appreciate you're always there when I call you, especially in moments like this. And the tribute you just gave to that man was absolutely fantastic. We're going to spread it out over social media. You're a treasure. You are a treasure, my friend, and I thank you so much
for
all your support. You're the best. Thank you.
I love being on with you, buddy. Love you, dude.
Thanks, my brother. Love you. I love you, man. The great Ronde Barber, right there. It brings me back. Sometimes you don't recognize when you're in it, the greatness that's happening. But I remember saying it on the air many times, like, folks, this is special what we're witnessing here. I didn't know that there would be 6 Hall of Famers coming from that defense at the time, but I could feel there was something really special going on.
Yeah.
And you just felt it. You just felt it if you were paying attention. And so often we don't live in the moment. We're always looking at, what do they got next year coming? Who's going to sign with who? And I'm like, shut up. Watch this greatness in front of you. Look at what, this is greatness. And you were watching, as I've told you about the Lightning, you're watching 4, maybe 5 Hall of Famers play at the same time, and back then 6 Hall of Famers, including the coaches. I mean, that doesn't happen.
Right.
And it was super special. And just being part of that, being a little behind the scenes and seeing how it took, it just kind of organically came together was special.
Yeah, and I think part of the thing that's got lost to time and younger people in the NFL today, they don't remember that the early part of that defense, the success that that defense had in the late 90s, I guess it was up until whenever conference realignment was in 04 or something. The Bucs were in the Central with the Packers, the Bears, the Vikings.
Yeah.
And those were much harder teams to play back then. And the Tampa 2 found success against those teams in the late 90s, the early aughts, before they moved to, what a lot of people considered at the time when the South was formed, the kind of the cream puff division, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And not that it is anymore, or that maybe that it ever was, but the success they had against those teams at that time was just really impressive.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what year it was, but the Vikings came in here 10-0, and it was the Randy Moss, Chris Carter show. I think was Randall the quarterback at the time, or was it? I think it was Randall. And they were literally putting up 35 points a game. And they came in here and, 14, 16 point favorites and got their ass kicked.
Nice.
It's just like, and I think I got to go revisit all the numbers on that, but that's just coming off the top of my head. But Monty, I remember Monty was just over the moon. Like that was like a quintessential Monte Kiffin. Like, you think you're coming in here? And it's like, no.
By the way, Monte Kiffin's linked to the Vikings. He was drafted by the Vikings.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it was the 12th round at the time.
Yeah.
Back then, number 200 something overall. Because there's only not many teams, but yeah, drafted by the Vikings. He didn't play in 65. Then he went to the Continental Football League, played for the Toronto Rivers or something, and the Brooklyn Dodgers in the Continental Football League. He played for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Canadian League one year, and then he's like, you know what? I think I want to be a coach. So he went back to Nebraska as a graduate assistant. Yeah. I think in 69 is when he started as coach. Dude was in coaching for 57 years. 57 years. he was a coach, like straight, right? Not a year off, but straight. The last 3, of course, with Lane is more of a consultant role, but still.
Yeah. What a dude, man. What a I just remember go into the locker room after the game. We got to hit a break here. Let's hit a break. We'll share some more Monty stories right after this. Yeah, let's hit a break. Our thanks to our great sponsors in our first hour. TryHydrateHeroes.com. Go to that website. They'll send you a free 3-pack of the great Hydrate Heroes. Got mine right here, as I do each and every morning. Working a little bit of a hangover today. Great for hangovers, man. Really feels good. Get those electrolytes, amla fruit, the mushroom blend, all that good stuff. 5 calories, tastes freaking great. TryHydrateHeroes.com. Go ahead and get the 30-pack for $29.99, folks. Less than $1 a serving. You don't go pay $2, $3 for some of these other hydration drinks. Less than $1 a serving. You will love it. Hydrate Heroes and the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Saw Scott Jeeves last night. Got some information on this FSU possible settlement. So go to JeevesLawGroup.com if you need somebody to represent you. They are awesome. Back in 3. Stay with us. Summer is here, and it's the perfect time to shine with the exquisite June birthstones, pearl, alexandrite, and moonstone at the Golden Diamond Source. Each gemstone carries its own unique significance and style, making them perfect for any summer occasion. Did you know the 30th anniversary milestone is pearl, the traditional stone for this special occasion? And right now you can enjoy 5 years of interest-free financing. That means you can own a stunning $5,000 ring and pay only $83 a month with 0 interest for 5 years. That's a great deal. And shop online and get 15% off the June birthstones. And we love our partners, local businesses that have been here for 40 years. That's right, the Golden Diamond Source has been here for 40 years. Julie and Steve Weintraub have done so much in our community. We thank them, and we shop there. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Happy summer. As we head into summer and hurricane season, you must make sure that your home is fully insured. Over 40% of people in Florida are not fully insured because property rates have gone up lately. Your home is worth more, so it needs to be insured. Call the great folks at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799 to make sure you're fully insured. And also, you might just save some money. There are new companies coming into the state all the time. In fact, we just shopped our homeowners insurance, and I'm telling you, folks, we saved over $550 because Charity, the great customer service at Italiano Insurance, did all the work and found us a better company and a cheaper company. She'll do the same for you. 813-877-7799. Do something about these high rates. Shop them around. Could save you lots of money. It's Italiano Insurance. Been doing business here locally for over 60 years. 813-877-7799. Tell them JP sent you.
Hey, Tampa Bay sports fans. This is 2-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the U.S. Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right. That's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to GettysGordonGroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
JP here for TryHydrateHeroes.com. That's our new website where you can get a free 3-pack of the great Hydrate Heroes electrolyte hydration drink, all for free. Just go to TryHydrateHeroes.com. We'll send you a 3-pack. While you're there, go ahead and buy the 30-pack for just $29.99. Special going on, less than $1 a serving. For all the good stuff, none of the bad stuff. Folks, a lot of these hydration drinks have tons of sugar, tons of calories. Hydrate Heroes, just 5 calories, and they have all the electrolytes in there, plus other stuff that's going to benefit you. A mushroom blend that will help with inflammation. So much other good stuff in there. none of the bad stuff. It's Hydrate Heroes. Go to tryhydrateheroes.com and get your free 3-pack. The new Tropical Punch flavor is out, and it is fantastic. They'll send you some. Just go to tryhydrateheroes.com. Get all the information there. Pick up a 30-pack as well. Tryhydrateheroes.com. All the good stuff, none of the bad stuff.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Wow, my phone is flooded from that Ronde Barber interview.
Can imagine.
So we're going to get that out. If you missed any of that, shout out to Paolini from Cafe Paradiso.
Yep.
Amazing Italian restaurant there in South Tampa. If you have not been, you must go. My man Scotty Fitzgerald, American Mortgage Services, listening in. So many more. And big thanks to Ronde.
By the way, we're missing a tremendous marketing opportunity here.
What's up?
Hydrate Heroes is a good hangover remedy.
Oh,
why are we not touting that more? Like, that should be the headline here.
Well, you should, you're the test case. I rarely drink. You're the one that needs it, not me.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to test it now.
No, it's really good because, you crave the sweetness, right? Sometimes you crave the sugar in the morning, an electrolyte drink. And, I used to, because I don't like drinking Gatorade. It's too much sugar. But sometimes when you're hungover, that cold green one, green or yellow. Is it green or yellow?
I call it green. To me, it's green. It's the original Gatorade.
Yeah. Yeah. You remember the old bottles? Those old bottles, the old Gatorade bottles.
Yep.
Gosh,
Yep.
You get it. You have that nostalgic feeling and that taste of it. But this has the sweetness, and it just So it hits you like it's got the sweetness and the sugar,
right? But
it doesn't have it. It's only 5 calories, and that's what's. And so you're not filling up on sugar, but it has all the other electrolytes and everything that make you get those balances back. So yes, it is a hangover remedy. Yes,
I'm gonna put it to the test this weekend. We'll see.
No, I got up in the morning, mixed one up, and just chugged it. And then I have one for sipping here during the show, as always. So tryhydrateheroes.com. Yeah. So that was a fun interview. TJ Reed's going to join us here a little bit. I was going to say about Monte, we would go, they bring the head coach in, and then they bring in, probably the quarterback. And sometimes if somebody, if Ronde had a crazy game, they bring them into the press conference room. And so a lot of times by the time you get into the locker room, Monte's done with his speeches, but sometimes he wasn't. And he would be, going around talking to guys, and it was just so fun to watch the enthusiasm and just the pure joy. And I remember after that, I think it was a Vikings game, that he was just going bananas. And I would, now we have the cameras in the locker room, right? We always have. I would have loved back in the day, and there's some that they have. It's on the DVD of the 2002 Bucs, a couple of Monte speeches, because that's pure gold, man. Yeah. That is history. That is just, one of a kind. All this stuff we talk about, I wish you could see it. I'm going to try to dig it up over the weekend and see if we can find some classic Monte speeches and rants, because it was a classic. He's absolute classic. Hopefully, because I should be able to find some of those. My man Dave Cook, my old producer at Channel 8, has an archive just incredible. So we'll grab some of those, so you can hear it. You can hear the voice that we talk about. Amazing stuff. Some of the comments coming in from you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nathan Elliott, good morning to you. As I mentioned, Paolini said, remembering years ago when I would talk to him having a beer at Ballyhoo restaurant, designing plays on a cocktail napkin.
That's old school right there.
He also says the reason the Bucs were so successful in the years you were around, it was because you had some incredible leaders, human beings, coaches. You guys, just to name a few: Dungy, Monte, Tomlin, Lovie Smith. Look at his coaching tree.
Yeah.
Look at the guys that he coached with and for. It's a who's who of just the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that he was, like Ronnie said, be able to be honored at the Hall of Fame, and not posthumously. So
right.
Great dude. Great dude all the way around. All right, I think we have TJ Rives coming up, so we went long in the first, so we're going to have to hit another break. Apologize to you guys for bumping two together, but, we got to do what we got to do, pay the bills. We love all our sponsors: Extravaganza Productions, RHS TV, The great folks at the Golden Diamond Source celebrating their 40th anniversary. They were all over Top Fox 13 this week, and great to see Julie and Steve and the whole family out there. The Geddes Gordon Group as well. All our great sponsors. We thank them so much. The Jeeves Law Group, Hydrate Heroes. Back in 3. Stay with us, TJ Rives.
You're listening to The Strike. 102.5 WHPT HD2 Sarasota, Tampa, St. Pete.
JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you, and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business.
Take your business or nonprofit to the next level with the power of video. Red House Streaming offers complete studio production services at our state-of-the-art facilities. Put our experience and expertise to work for you. From initial concept to final delivery, we'll handle it all and bring your vision to life. As your all-in-one production partner, we offer comprehensive marketing packages that not only showcase your brand, but amplify your reach. Contact Red House Streaming today.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by those great folks at the Golden Diamond Source. Summer is on, and the summer sales is on. 40th anniversary sale. All the low prices, the greatest selection. It's the Golden Diamond Source. And as we always say, shop local, and they are local treasures. The folks at the Golden Diamond Source. 3800 Overton Road, always online. GoldenDiamondSource.com. A little choked up there.
That's not good.
No.
Choking on your Hydrate Heroes.
I got my first birthday gift. Birthday coming up next week.
Yeah, happy birthday.
It's a beautiful watch, and it's like the bucs red and black.
Oh, wow.
That's nice. I think we'll call this the Monte.
There you go.
Call it the Monte.
You got your Bucs red shirt on, too.
Yeah, for a reason.
Yeah.
All right, let's welcome in our good friend, Bucs sideline guy, TJ Rives. Covered Monte Kiffin through his entire tenure here. What's up, partner? How are you?
I'm glad that we can make this work.
Yes, thank you for being
This is
flexible.
the latest anniversary of your 39th birthday. I'm proud of you. We're making it
younger all the time.
We're kicking it all around. Listen, great to be with you on so many levels. I know you originally wanted to get me on to talk Big 12 Media Days because I've been to Las Vegas from Tampa Bay, to Vegas and back was there for Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'll give you some lowdown on that whenever you like.
Yes, let's do that.
But first, we gotta keep going with what you're doing, the momentum that you have. And we could do 3 more shows on Monte Kiffin.
Yeah.
You can't say enough about what he and Tony Dungy did to change the culture, but Kiffin specifically with those defensive players in the room. Tony Dungy, yes, overall as the head coach.
Yeah.
But Kiffin was the guy day to day, hour to hour, minute by minute with those guys up in their grill like you talked about. What do you mean you don't know what play we're at? You could sort of understand him and not understand him. Kiffin was that guy. And so I have some stories. One of them, you were talking, and I was watching the beginning of the show. Didn't get a chance to hear Ronde, but the great thing here on JP's JP Peterson show and FanStream JP is you can rewind and be able to hear. I'll hear that a little later with what 2-0 had to say. But there are two or three things that stand out. I mean, one of them that's hilarious right off the bat about not being able to understand him is Chris Hovan, who is still here in this area, defensive lineman, former Minnesota Vikings #1 pick. And Hovan played several seasons later in his career here in Tampa Bay. And I believe his first year was 2005, which was my first year on the game broadcast. And by the way, it didn't hurt that I showed up, Hovan showed up, Cadillac Williams showed up in 2005, and the Bucs won the first 4 games right out of the box.
That's right.
And we were good luck. We were good luck right away out of that. But Hovan tells the story, and it's tremendous. He's like, I go into the first meeting with Monte Kiffin, and Hovan's not a dumb guy. Hovan's an economics major, by the way, a graduate from Boston College, all right? He goes into that first meeting, and he's like, Kiffin's fired up, ranting and raving about, we got to do this over here. We got to play that up here. There's the high-pitched voice. We got to play this over here. He goes, the things I understood were defense, winning, pressure. He goes, I was getting like every 10th word. He goes, I finally looked at Rod Marinelli after it's over. He goes, I have no idea what the heck he just said. And Rod said, don't worry about it. I'll help translate. Nobody knows. Nobody knows all the time what he's saying. So we're not exaggerating that that's how he would get, especially when he was hyper, when he was high-pitched, etc. What is legendary, and I don't know, did Ronde share with you about halftime in San Diego against the Raiders?
No. Go ahead.
All right, so that is legendary from what those guys are saying at the Super Bowl. This is San Diego. This is January late January 2003. You were there. I was there. But apparently, because the halftime show takes forever and a day, and that was Shania Twain and Gwen Stefani, as I remember. And I even think they had Sting singing, sending out an SOS. I'm like, this is perfect for the Raiders. They're losing at halftime. This is perfect. Right. The halftime show takes forever. So that's where the players had been warned, hey, this is not a typical 12-minute halftime.
Right.
This is like 30 minutes almost before you're going to be back out there. So Monty comes in apparently, and he is bringing it. Because they're up. They've scored late in the first half, and they're up. It's on the defense. It's on the defense to win the Super Bowl. And he's in Sapp's face. He's in Lynch's face, and he's ranting and raving. Well, then he takes a break. All right, so because normally that would be, okay, let's go back to the field. We're done. We're done.
Timing is good, yeah.
Okay, he leaves, and the halftime show's still going on. And the players don't know what they turn the halftime show on in the Jack Murphy Stadium locker room because they got nothing, because they've been told it's going to be 15 more minutes. You know, they're stretching, they're moving around. He comes back in. Why is the halftime? What are you watching the halftime? And he goes at him again. And they're looking at each other after that one ends, and they're like, are we going to get this a third time? We have got to get out of this locker room. But apparently it was just like the night before that game, and at halftime of that game, those players, those legendary players, Buccaneer fans, Sapp, Brooks, Lynch, Ronde, who you just heard from. I know you want to get Shelton Quarles on coming up. All those guys, Simeon Rice, they swear by his motivation and his ability to get the most out of those guys in that situation. I mean, they were so masterful against Philadelphia at Veterans Stadium the week before to beat them in the NFC title game. And again, as much as you want to say it was a total team effort, it was the Buccaneer defense that squashed the Raiders that day. 5 interceptions, 3 of them for touchdowns. Dexter Jackson's the MVP. Simeon Rice squashed Rich Gannon about 3 times in that game.
Rich Gannon had no time to do anything.
Correct. Yeah. The only shame of it was after Dwight Smith picked off the pass, and I still remember this, and raced down the sideline to make it 34-3. There was still a quarter and a half left in the game. The game was over at that point at 34-3, and the Raiders actually scored a couple of times to kind of dress it up and make it look like it wasn't a blowout. But in the end, DB 55, got the pick six that we all know in the final 2 minutes with the arm up in the air pointing and ran it in, and that iced the game. But that Buccaneer defense, that defense was responsible.
That was the greatest performance defensively in Super Bowl history. I think the Raiders end up scoring 21. But
one of them was a blocked punt. But yes, the offense got a late touchdown to Jerry Rice in the game.
The game was 5 interceptions.
Correct.
How many for
3 pick sixes?
Three pick sixes.
Because Dwight Smith got another one at the very end of the game on the deflected ball with like 5 seconds left just to ice it.
So come on,
they were dominant.
It was the greatest defensive performance by one of the greatest defenses.
Those 2 weeks against the Eagles and the Buccaneers, that's all-time time capsule. We'll still be talking about that 25 years from now. If JP and I are in the home arguing with the plastic silverware with each other, we're talking about 0-2.
Johnny like Monte Kiffin.
0-2 defense. Okay, so a couple of more stories. You remember this at the old One Buck place. And I'm doing the 5-day-a-week sports radio stuff in Tampa, and we would go over to One Buck Place. And for those that are not familiar with Tampa, I mean, this facility was an outdated dump. I mean, it came in with the origins of the franchise in 1976, and it was probably outdated by about 1981. And they still kept playing in it.
Single story.
Yes,
no more than
space.
maybe 5,000 square foot real building. Then they just kept adding on trailers.
You can relay this. When you went into the main building and down one of the defensive, one of the hallways, they had the offense on one side and the defense on the other. This is how bad it was. They literally had those rolling partitions like you have in offices, and that's where they had the breakout for secondary here, linebackers here, defensive linemen here, with 3 partitions in the same hallway room. That no office, no separate room, no nothing.
Outdoor weight room.
That's
outdoor
where the
weight room.
Yeah, outdoor weight room on the patio
where you could smell the fumes from runway 7
of Tampa International.
Literally.
So these were the conditions they ran in. It's right at, for those that are familiar in Tampa, it's right at West Shore Boulevard, right by the airport, right by Boy Scout Road. The reason I bring that up is the radio station where I was working was not far from there on a lot of occasions. And so we would come there to cover practice. And I'm coming across the intersection to One Buck Place, and I'm looking and I'm like, who is that? Wait a minute. That's Monte Kiffin suddenly jogging to the west towards Tampa International Airport and jogging the complex and jogging around.
Right.
I mean, on a regular basis, he would be out almost taking his life into his hands on the 6 lanes of traffic on each side of West Shore and Boy Scout jogging.
That's right.
He would go jogging, and it would be legendary. Other assistants would jog with him. Corals or Brooks would sometimes jog with him. But Monty was always jogging, and then we would come in for the media availability, and he looked like he had run the Boston Marathon.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, anybody want to talk about the defense? He's sweating to death. He's soaking wet. Anybody want to talk defense while he's in the media scrum and in the area? So I just thought I will always remember that. And I mean, it wasn't once or twice. I mean, it was over and over again. He'd be out there jogging around the complex a mile or 2 miles. Into his late 60s, early 70s, he was still doing that. It's crazy.
But Bob Hansen was our photographer, still is over there, News Channel 8 sports photographer. And we go out and we'd get interviews with everybody. And you just start grabbing people. You go through the locker room, and then, you go over to Monty, be there talking to a couple guys, and I go, let's go get Monty. And Bob would look at me and go, why?
Right.
Not because
we're going to have to have subtitles underneath it at Channel 8.
And not only that, it's like you'd start cutting up the soundbite. And in today, jump cuts are accepted for TikTok and everything. But in our day, you couldn't have a jump cut where you edited it, him stop talking. And in order to get a 20-second soundbite, you had to do 17 edits because he would just go off on a tangent. He'd be like, well, we were playing the cover 2 the other day. And did I ever tell you about 1974 when I had to get with the rental? And he'd just go off and go. But
he's not, Timmy and audience, he's not exaggerating. I mean, that's what it would be like.
I know.
Tangent.
I covered him here in Dallas.
I heard you say that.
But
I heard you say that.
So he might have been worse in 2013 than he was.
And I tried to explain it to Bob. I was like, well, I need to get the information. Like, we're gonna tape it and then bring it back to the lab and decipher it. Slow it down.
Well, you mentioned Channel 13. And by the way, shout out on your show. I know you know him. Longtime photographer, producer, Jeff Tewksbury. Tewks has retired after 36 years, I believe, in this market. Well-deserved retirement. But Tukes, I think, primarily was in charge of putting together that Monte Kiffin film session that you're talking about.
Yes, yeah.
And my God, that was almost like open heart surgery on the patient. When they're sitting with Monty in the film room, Tukes is probably taking 3 hours off his life trying to figure out how do we get this down to 60 seconds or 48 seconds, whatever it is that we need for the film session. So shout out to him. And yeah, it was neat to be around him. I wanted to illuminate something because he was the ultimate assistant vagabond for so long. Get a load of this. And this is what so many of these guys had to do in order to finally find the right spot as a defensive coordinator, as a head coach. And Monty's thing was always going to be probably as a defensive coordinator, but not a head coach. But let me rattle this off for you. Starting after being at Nebraska as the defensive coordinator, Monty in 1977 leaves Nebraska, where he had played, where he'd been a graduate assistant, had been under Bob Devaney, had been under Tom Osborne. He leaves in 1976. So he goes to Arkansas, where he's the defensive coordinator for 1 year in 77. Then he's the assistant head coach for the next year, 2 years in Arkansas, JP.
Okay.
Then he gets the NC State head coaching job. That's the only time that Monte Kiffin was ever a head coach. And he's there in Raleigh for 3 years. So that doesn't go so well. He gets fired. He goes to Green Bay in the NFL, to the NFL for the first time as a linebacker coach, 1 year. Then to the Buffalo Bills, linebacker coach, 2 years, 84, 85. Then he's with the Minnesota Vikings as the linebacker coach for 4 years, 86 to 89. Then he's the New York Jets linebacker coach for 1 year, 1990. Then he's back to Minnesota as the defensive coordinator for 1 year. Then he's back to Minnesota as the linebackers coach, I guess demoted for whatever reason. Tony Dungy was there then at that point. That's where they hooked up, 92 to 94. Then Monty leaves in 95 and becomes the defensive coordinator of the Saints. Let me go over that again.
Well, forgot about that one.
From 1977 until Monte Kiffin got to the New Orleans Saints and had 1 year with the Saints, that is Arkansas, NC State, Green Bay, Buffalo, Minnesota, New York, Minnesota again, and the Saints. That's like unofficially 18 jobs, I think, in those years. And then he comes here, and it's the longest tenure he ever was anywhere. He's here from 1996 to 2008, 13 seasons. He finally found the ultimate home with the Tampa 2 defense, the Tampa Bay area. What's not to love about the area?
I think
players. This became home.
Right. Well, I think this is a testament to who he was. I think for a long time, Monte Kiffin was seen as, probably because of the way he is and the way he acts and the way he talks, as probably being a little bit eccentric. And people would focus on that and not. And Tony was like, Tony. Tony understands everybody. He sees the best in everyone. He brings out the best in everyone. And he
maybe the most patient man ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God,
he just sit there and listen to Monty and he would understand it. Where us simple people and simple couldn't get it. He and Monty he could get it, and he understood the man, and he gave him the opportunity and gave him the platform and gave him the latitude to do what the mad scientist needed to do. And the next thing you know, we got DeLoreans flying.
Because again, he had been with him as the defensive coordinator in Minnesota when Monty was there as the linebacker coach. And I remember there was some controversy when Tony got the head coaching job in 96 about hiring Monte Kiffin and hiring Mike Shula, Don Shula's son, obviously youngest son, on whether or not these were the right hires or not. Right. Now, Mike Shula obviously exited after only 2 or 3 years, and then it became an odyssey with Dungy and the offense, and it ultimately led to Tony getting fired. Yeah. But, John Gruden shows up, and one of the first things he's saying to the Glazers, to Rich McKay, is we got to keep Monte Kiffin, and we got to keep that staff intact, and we got to keep this defense that had, Joe Barry, Rod Marinelli as the defensive line coach. Joe Barry's the linebackers coach, and some guy named Mike Tomlin was the secondary coach.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
So they kept that together.
About his coaching tree. Mm-hmm. Tomlin, Raheem Morris, Jimmy Lake,
Lovie Smith.
Herman
Edwards.
Rod Marinelli, considered the best defensive line coach ever. Probably shouldn't have been a head coach, but should followed the
Well, you mentioned this, all right, about the Tampa 2. And so many people tried it. Lovie Smith went and tried it with the Rams, with the greatest show on turf, and it did not work. It wasn't the same way. Rod Marinelli was trying it during that 0-16 season with Joe Barry there with him, his son-in-law, as a defensive coordinator. It obviously didn't work in Detroit. It wasn't as simple as the Buccaneers made it look with Tony Dungy and Monte Kiffin as the architect. And as Sapp used to always say, you can call it the Tampa 2. You can try to say that you're going to do what we do, but who's me? Who's 55? Yeah. Who's 47?
Who's 20?
Who's 97? Simeon Rice. Who's 20? Who's 56? Hardy Nickerson. Who are those guys on your defense?
Shelton Corals. Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah, we talked about that, just the intelligence level needed to play this and get on the same wavelength as the mad scientist.
And incredible players, incredibly athletic players, talented players. I've been joking with the Big 12 coaches. We'll segue to that whenever you want. If you want, if not, we'll keep talking for as long as you want. But I kept joking with those guys. You know what makes great coaches and smart coaches? Great players. Players that help you win. You become really smart when you got players that can help you win. Yep. You put them in the right positions, and that's what this team was able to do. I remember this just when I said Hardy Nickerson. This is probably the 97 season, his second year. He's aware of who I am, doing 5-day-a-week sports radio, and I'm over there before the afternoon show. And he calls me up. He says, TJ, come over here. Like we're in the open locker room. And I'm thinking I've done something wrong. He goes, you're not talking Hardy Nickerson. Hardy's got to go to the Pro Bowl. Hardy's defensive MVP. You got to talk more about Hardy Nickerson. I want to hear you, because he's been listening. I want to hear you talk more about Hardy Nickerson. You got to be talking about him. You got to get him on your show. You got to talk about him. You got to talk about Hardy for the Pro Bowl. I'm like, yes, sir. Okay. I'm not Buccaneer PR here, but okay, we'll get him on or whatever. But he was lobbying me to say to everybody else, you need to understand how this guy is leading this defense, changing the culture, etc., where he's there at 6:00 in the morning with Monty watching film before anybody else is there. And then suddenly some guy named Derek Brooks decides this is a pretty good idea to do what Hardy's doing, and come sit with him and sit with Monte Kiffin 2 hours before anybody else is there in the building. Yeah. Every day, like during the season. This is how you get better. That's how the culture changed, 96 to 97, etc. So you can't say it enough. Monte Kiffin, I'm thrilled that he was put into the Ring of Honor while he was still aware enough to understand it. You mentioned the Tampa Sports Hall of Fame and all these accolades, that he was still around and aware enough.
Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Pro Football Hall, how much he is beloved, will be beloved in and around the turnaround of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tony Dungy, again, deserves most of the credit on the turnaround in the culture, but Monty is right there with him as 1A. We can't say that enough.
And I learned this through, and I can tell you this, I've been covering the NFL for 40-some years now. I hate to say that. And the Bucs,
I thought you were only 39. That can't be possible.
27, right? And we, you don't hear players talk about assistant coaches like they talked about Monty. So if you're paying attention, you were like, well, this guy must be really good. And you wouldn't have to prompt them. They'd be like, Ronde would just like tell me, dude, this guy is like crazy. And they'd laugh about him, and Sapp would talk about him. All the players don't talk about assistant coaches. They don't talk about coordinators. For the most part, they just don't. But with Monty, they did. So you were like, wow, something crazy. This guy's something special. And I would say that about Herm and Marinelli. They would talk about Marinelli too. And it's because Monty set the tone for all these coaches, and they were special people. That group was super, super special. Look at that freaking staff. That staff is just one of the best staffs ever put together. And Monty was the king of the club there.
And by the way, he was so thrilled at the end of his career to get to go coach with Lane, and he did it a couple of times at Tennessee, at Southern Cal.
They're a very close family,
and be there around it. And Lane was here, obviously, when they were doing the Ring of Honor, standing right there near where I was that night when they honored him on the field a couple of seasons ago. And Lane was beaming ear to ear because he went to school here. He went to middle school here, Lane Kiffin. He went to high school here. And cut his teeth on being an intern in and around the Bucs, et cetera, before he became a head coach. Yeah. All of that was in the late 90s and the early 2000s before you knew anything about Lane Kiffin being a coach. So, fascinating. And I'm just glad that we got to honor him, deservedly so,
and cover
while he was still around.
What a treat for us as reporters to be able to.
Can't say it enough.
Yeah. I do want to talk a little bit about Big 12 Media Days. You out in Vegas. TJ Vegas.
You know, I love hanging with you.
Coach Prime stole the show. You had a one-on-one with Coach Prime.
I love hanging with you. I love hanging with Timmy. You know, I hang with only the best, and then I'm hanging with Coach Prime. Hanging there in my role with Tune In. They brought him over.
Did he send my check yet?
I know you were mentioning this off the air because you went, through the round and round and round about, is he going to be the USF coach, South Florida coach? Is he going to be the Colorado coach?
Yeah.
And the line you sent me is you wanted some compensation.
Yeah, of course I did. Yeah.
For the deal that you got him
through his
talking
surrogate,
up the.
He assured me that he was taking that $6 million or $5 million a year from USF, and is going to take that job through his surrogate telling me this, so that Colorado would say, "Oh shiz, he's going to USF. We better punt," because they weren't coming up with the money. They weren't. He wanted to go into a conference, right away, and because he thought he could hang with some of those teams in the Pac-12, and clearly that was not the case. Which I still say to this day, had he taken the USF job, it would have worked out way better for him. He'd have won 10, 11 games with USF last year, I think, with all the players that he would have brought to USF and the schedule they played compared to the schedule he played in Colorado.
By the way, Dion, not the first, nor will he be the last to play all the options and play everybody against everybody on what's the best deal, what's the best opportunity. And obviously Colorado stepped up big time with NIL money, etc. Now, here's the other side of the coin, what you just alluded to. There is no escaping this. They were a disaster in the Pac-12 schedule last year, 1-8. Yes. And he talked about, we lost this close game. We lost that close game. For most of us that have been around and have been savvy, that's just excuse making about how you lost. You just kept losing. And sooner or later, you got to have some steak, not just the sizzle. You can hear the sizzle or smell the steak, but you got to have some steak. Mm-hmm. And if they don't win some games and win some games fairly soon in 2024, the Wolves will be out. The Knives will be out. Everybody else will be out on, we've given you everything. We've paid you a ton of money to have your son be the quarterback and given him all this NIL. We've let you overturn the roster for a second straight off season. JP, they got 30 more new guys. They ran off a bunch of guys again this year. It doesn't work.
They did. That doesn't work.
But he's going on, and he's got his sons coming up to me. They came to me too on the Tune In coverage that I was doing. Tune In has done a mega deal with the Big 12 Conference, multi-year, multi-million-dollar deal to be the exclusive digital home of the Big 12. So all the games now, content, etc., on TuneIn and their mobile app and their service. So Shador and Shiloh Sanders came over to me as well on that same table to talk with me. And I got to tell you, I was more impressed with the answers Dion gave and a little more humility. Those two are acting like they were 8-1 in the Pac-12 last year in some regards.
Oh boy.
And I'm looking at that going, boys, if you guys start losing games, your father's legacy is secure forever. And obviously, this, you lived it as a Florida State All-American, Timmy, you lived it as a Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl champion. Previously, he was a 49er for 1 year as a Super Bowl champion. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's been a multi-million-dollar TV personality. Daddy is secure forever. Shador and Shiloh are another season away from being a complete afterthought. Hey, remember when Dion tried to win games at Colorado with his son?
Shador being the number 1 overall pick.
That's them saying that.
Never understood that.
That's them saying that. But I mean, we're in an era where LeBron James can get the Lakers to draft his son. This is the era that we're now in.
4.7 points a game. It's
in the third round, bro. Even.
Yeah. So, this is the era that we're now in. But my only point with them is I didn't know how to read that with the players. Do they really believe this is going to be that much different? And last year was no big deal. I don't know. Coach Prime Dion, and he cracked off a great line with me. He said, look, we tried to make the water into wine last year. He says, Ted, I made the water into Kool-Aid. I get that. I understand that. He goes, we didn't get it done last year.
Humility.
Yes.
Shockingly.
And he was owning it. He was fine with it. He understood. Okay.
All right.
But he repeated
one quote where they said, how are you going to fit into the Big 12? And he's like, we don't fit in anywhere. We Colorado. I'm like,
that's right. Until they lose some games. And then
Colorado.
But for him here at this point, the only thing you can do, there's no turning back. You fired the offensive coordinator, threw him completely under the bus in the middle of the season and demoted him and got rid of him.
Yeah.
I mean, the same offensive coordinator that had them electric at the beginning of last year.
Roasted every one of your offensive linemen.
Killed them,
left.
figuratively in the media.
Yep.
Fired the defensive coordinator.
Mm.
And now he's got a new offensive coordinator and a new defensive coordinator. So a lot of new for Colorado, and we'll see what happens. But this league is now crazy. The Big 12.
What does their schedule look like? I don't even know who's in the Big 12 anymore.
It's crazy. You've got Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah added after you added UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, and BYU. Eight teams that have come in the last
Those
2
are some
years.
Good programs you just rattled off.
But I mean, if you're Oklahoma State and you're Kansas and you're Baylor and you're Texas Tech,
State,
you're like, what happened to us with the 1 hour plane rides and playing in the same kind of time zone or whatever? But this is the new age of college football. They are now huge footprint across 3 time zones. They're going to be running games from noon until midnight in this league every Saturday.
It's exciting football too.
Sure. And you may play in the dead heat where we live here in Central Florida at UCF, and then have to go play in the snow at either Salt Lake or Provo against BYU, or play in the Arizona desert in Tempe, or play in the mountain air cold of West Virginia. That's the conference now for all these schools. So it's a new age. It's a new age. It's spread out. And I'm telling you now, you know this, they're not done. They're going to go get at least a couple more teams. Florida State may be involved. They may go get 4 more teams, the Big 12, and just go ahead and go to 20 teams. They're not done with what they're doing. They're going to be aggressive.
I know there's been chatter FSU going to Big 12, but I can't see that. They're not leaving the ACC to go to the Big 12. Although the Big 12 media rights, they're up, right? They did
time.
Yeah.
So they're negotiating now, right?
And by the way, they have escalators in it with Fox, not so much with ESPN, that the revenue goes up if you add more teams. So there's incentive. Yeah. There's incentive.
FSU is a huge, their media rights are worth about $100 million a year to any conference, because that's what they can sell their football games for. In terms of advertising and what have you. Just keep it as simplistic as
so this is the thing to watch. And I talked with our colleague Brett McMurphy. He was out there and hustling. And by the way, McMurphy wrote a great, not just a good, free plug for him on the Action Network's website. He's now with the Action Network, theactionnetwork.com. He wrote a great item that I never knew about Deion Sanders and tying a suicide attempt, which Deion attempted to drive his car off an embankment in Cincinnati and kill himself. I never knew that story, and I don't know how much he's talked about it before. He did this in Cincinnati in the late 90s.
I vaguely remember that.
So Deion, I don't think he's talked a lot about it, but Brett wove it through his column, his item on how vibrant he now looks, how fun this is to coach his kids in college at Colorado, and he'd have never had that had he been successful with ending his life. And I'm like, wow. So go check that out. Free plug for McMurphy. Shout out to him. But Brett was standing there with me, and I said, okay, I know you're not going to give me specifics, but are we going to have movement before the start of this season? Because a year ago at this time, that's where the musical chairs started again. The Big Ten grabbed Oregon, they grabbed Washington, and Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado went, you know what? We're not going to be the last ones in the Pac-12 to turn the lights off and get stuck with the check. Yeah. We are deuces as well. Peace be with you. We're going to leave. And they took the Big 12 offer. And now Cal and Stanford are going, we're not going to be the last ones left in this conference. And they take the ACC offer later in the year. So we had, as it turns out, 8 schools leave the Pac-12 for other conferences last year. So I said, Brett, do we believe any moving and shaking? He goes, don't look for anything before the start of this season, except he believes Florida State could, not reporting it, could announce we're leaving the ACC. Whatever happens after we make this announcement, however we work it out with our lawsuit, a settlement, do we have private equity money? We're going to go ahead and notify the ACC that next year, 2025, is our last year. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's what I've been told.
And then we're looking for where do we end up? He goes, that could happen. And that could happen in the next few weeks before the season starts, where they just go ahead on the forefront.
Is the deadline, and I also believe that they're going to announce. And I thought that they're going to, go ahead and announce they're going to the Big Ten, but I think those negotiations have become a little bit more because now TNT is in the mix. I don't believe the reports, and I don't believe Paul Feinbaum and these other guys that are like, oh, they don't have the AAU accreditation to get into the Big Ten. They may have it soon. What they do have is that $100 million media valuation that every conference is going to want. And if the Big Ten is going to expand, and I think they will, they'll definitely get to 20. FSU is at the top of the list. FSU is at the top of everybody's list. And I don't think academics is going to play that big a role because the media rights is the thing. That's what this is about. It's not about, we're not ranking schools academically here. We're playing football and we're getting money for it.
And you're looking also at where can we go? And the Big Ten did this with bigger media markets. Obviously, LA for USC and UCLA, Seattle for Washington, and Eugene, which is essentially Portland for Oregon, are media markets for the Big Ten network and for their product. And plus, with those 4 schools, you can now play late night games that are prime time in the West. That's why they did that. So the question becomes, is it advantageous enough as well for the Tallahassee market and for Clemson, South Carolina, for them to care? That's a debatable point.
I don't think it has nothing to do with the Tallahassee market. It has to do with the average viewership of an FSU football game, which is 3.5 to 4.5 million people, which ranks in the top 15. I think it's 12 overall in all of college football. That's what matters. How many people watch your games? Okay. So you normally get 5, sometimes big games, 7 million people watching your games. Okay. How much is the 30-second ad worth in a game that has 7 million people watching it, as opposed to Tulane, who averages 230,000,
That's right.
It doesn't matter. And even in bigger markets, I mean, how many people are watching,
nobody's watching Rutgers. Nobody's watching Rutgers.
Even though they're in a big market,
they consider, and by the way, they consider it a big market, but Piscataway, New Jersey is nowhere near New York City, and they don't care. They don't care anyway in New York City.
Even people that went to Rutgers don't watch Rutgers.
That's right.
Trust me. I have a few friends.
Media markets, I think, for football are a little bit different. It's more about your average viewership, and that's.
And if you're the Big 12, back to them. Let's say you're going for a quartet. You're at 16 right now. You want Florida State. You probably want Miami. And Miami would probably love to jump with Florida State. And then if you have Clemson and one other, the one other might be NC State in Raleigh, because NC State realizes we're the redheaded stepchild in the ACC. They don't love us. We'll go through that door. Now you have an Eastern block, if you will, hypothetically, of Florida State and Miami added to UCF. You have NC State and Clemson added to Cincinnati, West Virginia. You now have an Eastern block for
makes
travel.
All the sense in the world
for travel.
For the Big 12, and then their media rights deal goes through the roof. So, but I think for Florida State, they don't. I think they would prefer the Big 10 because the numbers, the money, and I think the money will be similar between the Big 12 and the Big 10. I do. And
it already is
much bigger than the ACC. So I do think the money's going to be right, but I think FSU understands, bringing some of those teams you mentioned, Arizona State instead of Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State to Tallahassee is a little bit different.
Of course it is, but at this point you can't be too choosy because we keep saying this. ESPN is not going to let Florida State go to the Southeastern Conference. They own both. Yeah. They have TV networks in both. Why are we rewarding the suing Seminoles who are suing everybody but Santa Claus and give you more money to be in the SEC, which we control? So I don't think that's fine. So now it's the other two. It's the Big 10 or the Big 12. Stay tuned.
I agree. All right, my friend. Always great to chat with you. Thank you for the great storytelling. You're the best.
I do what I can. R.I.P. Monte Kiffin.
Yep.
By the way, Mrs. Reeves and I on a cruise next week. So I will
cruise.
I will be in avail. Yes, quick cruise. I'm scoring points. Quick cruise next week, and then we'll get ready for Buccaneers season, which will be here before we know it. A week or two after that.
Didn't you just take a cruise to Las Vegas?
I did. I did not take I did the cruise to Alaska, back and forth to Vegas. Yeah. Another quick cruise. And then we'll be ready to go with the football season. So I'll get back with you probably about 10 days, 2 weeks from now. Let's talk some Buccaneer football, etc. In the meantime, behave. When is the birthday? What day?
Next Thursday, July 18th.
I still remember that was your 30th that I was at for the surprise party. I want to say that's what that was.
I think it was my 40th.
Was it your 40th? I remember being at that one.
Was in the limo
and
with
it's
Ronde and
yes,
all the boys. Oh.
Yes. Okay. And it's great that you're only 44, like the station where you used to work. Only 44
right.
coming next week. Good for you.
Channel 44.
Good for you on that front.
Beasley
Be well.
Reese. Where's my man Beasley Reese?
Beasley
The
Reese.
best. The best.
Behave. Have a
All
great
right,
weekend. Great to be with you, my friend. Thank you for letting me share the stories. Timmy, be
Travels,
well.
guys. He's the best. Thank you, buddy.
Bye, guys.
Appreciate
Safe
that.
travels.
Got a college football, man. We got pro football. We got high school football. We got all kinds of good. By the way, quick shout out to Shaquem and Shaquille Griffin, who are going to have their flag football summer camp tomorrow at Lakewood High School, beginning at 9:30, 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I believe. So we'll be there. I'm trying to get over there tomorrow. It'll be a bit of a drive, but we want to go support those folks. And I'm pretty sure I got to just confirm with Peter that we will be doing a live show from there. So we're going to bring the Peter Blake remote machine out there and hopefully have some shade and bring in. He's got an absolute incredible lineup of former NFL stars that are going to be out there. So I'm going to chat.
I would say more important than shade. Please have good Wi-Fi.
Yes, good Wi-Fi is a must. Unlike our, although that show turned out quite well on Tuesday at Rogers Park.
But if both of you guys are remote, then and the Wi-Fi stinks, there's nothing I can do about it.
Well, you're not involved tomorrow. You sleep in, bro. You go get what you got to get tonight.
All right. Well, here's the deal, though. If you guys get out there and there's no Wi-Fi, then just give me a call. I will set everything up and I will run it from here. I don't have to be on camera, but then I can use y'all as the
Gotcha.
So we'll just
all right.
we'll make it work.
All right. Thank you for that. All right. Quick break. When we come back, we're chasing Dexter Jackson, Super Bowl MVP. Michael Gardner will join us as well from Hydrate Heroes, and we got lots more coming your way. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man, Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
JP here to ask the question, are you planning an event, meeting, or conference? If so, you'll want to call the designers and production professionals at Extravaganza Productions Incorporated. With over 35 years of experience in the events industry, designing and producing every type of small to large event, they can provide a huge resource for design ideas, audio, visual, sound, lighting, decor, and entertainment to turn your event into an incredible experience for the entire audience. Folks, I've worked up close and personal with this group at many national events and Tampa events, and they have unique capabilities that help you save time and money in the planning and execution of your next event. Don't delay. Call these pros today at 813-621-4700 or check out their website at extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you and they'll provide a free initial consultation for your event. Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business.
Take your business or nonprofit to the next level with the power of video. Red House Streaming offers complete field production services. Our experience and expertise has you covered every step of the way wherever you want to go. From initial concept to final delivery, we'll handle it all and bring your vision to life. As your all-in-one production partner, we offer comprehensive marketing packages that not only showcase your brand, but amplify your reach. Contact Red House Streaming today.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show as we roll on this Friday. A little somber tone as Monte Kiffin, the greatest, I hate calling him an assistant coach, greatest defensive coach in the history of
Call
the
him a
NFL.
coach. You don't have to be in a seat. He's just a coach, right?
A coach. He's just a coach,
Yeah.
right? Great, because he was running the defense, right? So, a lot of times we just focus on the head coach, and many times it's the assistant coaches that are doing the real work and getting it done. And certainly in this case, it was a team effort with Tony and even John Gruden. John and Monty became fast friends as well. John was certainly smart enough to realize that, it's it takes two sides of the ball. You got the offense covered, and that defense was not to be messed with. And that's, credit to John Gruden, because, John has a pretty big ego. He wants to be in charge. He wants to get the credit, wants to, all that stuff. So he wants to be out front, and was very successful in that way. But he was smart enough to say, I need this guy on defense. And they would go back and forth. Monty and John, the defense and the offense in practice would go at it. I mean, go at it. There was a true competition there that, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
Made them both better. So really incredible stuff. Well, we got Michael Gardner here. He's ready to go from Hydrate Heroes. So let's want
to go there?
Yes, absolutely.
We've been talking Hydrate Heroes the entire show.
Yes, we have been.
Now he pops on at the end.
Yeah. Good morning, Michael. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. Good. Happy Friday, Hydrate Hero Day, right? So
yes,
I'm not the hero. I'm just here today.
Well, I wanted you to have you on. First of all, we were talking about this as a hangover remedy. This is what I'm using it for today, because I had a few IPAs yesterday with our good friend Scott Jeeves from the Jeeves Law Group, and this morning I popped one in the morning. Just fill it nice, ice it down, and just gulp. Just chug that down.
A whole new market for us.
Yes,
that's like a whole new man. What? How much is that going to cost me? What kind of royalty you want for that?
The three. Just I write this for you, my friend, because we love you. It's free of charge. So Hydrate Heroes Hangover Hookup.
Hydrate Triple H.
Yeah, Triple H. Yes, yeah, and with Hookup we can go Quad H. So there you go.
Who's Triple H in the wrestling? There's a Triple H.
Yeah, there's a Triple H. He's now running the wrestling deal.
Have him as our spokesperson.
Yeah, good luck with that. You think I'm expensive? That's gonna cost you a few million, bro.
Hey, no.
Get Triple H on this, baby.
Triple H, baby, let's go.
Hey, you've got NFL players, you've got guys that you got NBA players all involved with this, so you're doing okay. You've got some pretty good representatives.
It's just, team, like you were just saying, teamwork, man. It's a good team, and things are coming together, and we're excited to there's some stuff that, man, I can't even tell you right now. Some stuff we're putting together, and
you're always on the move. You're always moving.
I think it just speaks volumes to what our mission is, and supporting our service members and giving back, and again, when you do good, good things happen.
That's right.
It's just, that's always been my principle, and just, giving back. And it's, it's humbling, because, when you look at the military and everything, and we just got back from our event up in Fort Campbell for, that event, July 4th. And, it's just, everybody just hands down the product. And again, we're not just a hydration beverage. We're cause marketing, giving back, but also 8 times the benefit. So I think a lot of it, just giving back to the community, just giving back to promoting health and wellness, and inspiration, and when you look at good people. And Monte Kiffin, the rest of his soul. I've never met him, but I heard nothing but great things about the guy. And, that's what it takes. Like that guy, he a legacy. You want to leave behind a legacy. And when you do good, you might leave this earth, but your spirit's here. You've touched a lot of people, and I know Monty did that with a lot of people. And Derek's one of my partners, and my son played high school football for Mike Allstott, and those guys were. I mean, that was a special group of people. That team was special, and Monty was a big part of that. And this is from a fan looking inside, out from the outside in. And
Derek talk about Monty. You've heard Mike, even Mike as an offensive player, was very close to Monte Kiffin and the family. Yeah. So you've heard him talk about it. And, these are, and by the way, you will be sponsoring our broadcast tomorrow. We're doing a special broadcast from the Shaquille and Shaquem Griffin, the two twins.
Yeah.
It's from Lakewood High School. They're giving back to the community, doing a big flag football summer camp tomorrow, and NFL flag football league that they're putting together in, down in inner city, St. Petersburg. So your message, the Jeeves Law Group as well. You guys support the community. You support this show. So we're going out there and doing a show gratis to support them.
Let us know
Thanks to you.
We'll donate product. Talk to them.
Yeah. I knew you would. You would. So I'm going to mention that to Shaq tomorrow. For when their season comes up, they're doing an NFL flag football league, and I know you guys would be happy to donate some product so the kids can stay hydrated, because
I was just on a phone call with it's called IFL Indoor Football League. Have you heard of them?
Yes.
They're talking about us doing something with them. So it's good to get back in it. Didn't they play high school football at Lakewood?
Lakewood, Lakewood High School, and that's good. Shaquem is the one who had the amputated hand that was drafted by the Seahawks. Incredible motivational speaker, incredible story. And they're just, and I didn't know this. He told us this the other day, that he turned down an NFL coaching job.
Really?
When he was done, turned that down, an NFL coaching job with the 49ers, because he wanted to come back and be an important part of the St. Pete community.
Wow.
And give back to the kids that, for the people that helped him and his brother on the way up, to give it back, pay it forward. And that's important to him. And he's he's doing a great job as a motivational speaker. He's got a lot of business interest but he wants to give back. And I thought that was an incredible life choice, because I think on his trajectory as a coach, he could clearly become a head coach in due time. And all the riches and fame that brings, but that's not what he's interested in. And I think that
speaks volumes.
Yeah, those are the people we want to pour into, right? These are the type of people that we want to pour into. So we want to support them. We're going to support them. You're supporting them. So we appreciate it, buddy.
No, I appreciate you. And I think you've heard me say it before. The future of tomorrow is up to the leaders of today.
Mm-hmm.
And as leaders, we need to step up and reach these kids, because these kids are lost. And you never know, a kind word goes a long way. And just giving that kid, just planting that seed, you don't know where to go. I mean, it happened to me growing up with my basketball coach, and these coaches, and community, leaders, that's what it's about. And anything I can do, I'm always there for you, brother.
Yep, I know you are. I know. That's why we appreciate. That's why I appreciate your partnership, because when we do this every Friday, we bring heroes on. Today, you're our hero, because you're supporting.
Don't even go there, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and we've heard from all these organizations, and they speak about what you've done for their organization. So we're paying it forward. We're completing the circle, as I like to say. You don't want to talk about yourself, but we'll talk about you and your company and what you're doing. And it fits with our brand, and you're a local company. You're there in Tampa Bay, but you're also a global company as well. So we appreciate what you guys do. Absolutely.
Likewise.
How was your time in the Dominican Republic?
Man, it was really good. I mean, again, back to what we're talking about is health and wellness is a universal language. In fact, I met with somebody. It's somebody you'll be hearing about it more, but he wants to bring our product into India. I met with Precious from the Knicks, he's getting involved with me. He wants to bring us to Africa, so we're doing something
precious for the Knicks. I love that.
Yeah,
I love it.
So he, met with him, and it's just crazy how I meet these people because I don't pursue anybody. And I was at Steve Harvey's event when I met Precious, and it just turned into a relationship. And now he wants to bring this to Nigeria. He's like, this is a great product. I want to bring it and help the kids because I didn't know much about him, but he does this camp, and this year there's 2,000 kids coming through the camp a day.
Wow,
in Nigeria. Wow. So he invited me to go down there, which we're planning on going. I think it's the 25th of August. So you'll be hearing more about that. But again, organically, met him at Steve Harvey's.
Yeah,
out there for his event, and with the boys at the ranch, and just I think that's I just want to just encourage people. I try to do it every time we speak. Is just say a kind word to somebody today. Go out there and just touch somebody, and words go a long way. And again, we all have something to give, and time is something. Hey, just in passing, just be kind to each other, and just help one another. Give a hand up, not a handout, and that's what really is going to make the world a better place. And I think I'm the messenger, like I told you. So it's not about
what we want to do is say hangover remedy.
Triple H, baby.
Triple H.
I'm in.
Hydrate, Heroes, hangover, hookup.
I'm going to give it the ultimate test as a hangover remedy this weekend.
I'm telling you, Tim's the guy. Tim's really going to start. We got to get him.
Hey, whatever you
pack.
Hey, the good thing is, I'll keep you in supply. You don't have to worry about Hydrate Heroes.
By the way, I'm running low. Ashley laughs at me. He's like, "You drink 6 of those a day?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do."
Well, let me know for tomorrow if they need product. I'll shoot down there wherever it is, and
for tomorrow. We probably won't get it done, but for their league, I'll tell them tomorrow. We'll do some. We'll chat about it on the air. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much, Tim. Nice seeing y'all.
You bet. You too, Michael.
And I'll call you later.
It's hot as heck. Yeah, call me later.
Sounds good. I got you. All right, sounds good. Michael Gardner there, CEO of Hydrate Heroes. All right, we got to hit. No, we don't have time for a break, do we? We're done.
Not really, no.
Somebody just sent me another story about Florida State, Big 12 in play for Clemson and Florida State.
Oh, wow.
It could happen.
What would be your preference, JP? As an alum with Florida State, what would be your preference? Would you prefer the Big Ten? Okay.
Yeah, Big Ten. Big Ten. I think it's more prestigious. I think it's more money. I think it's a more national conference. I mean, although Big 12 is going to be, it's just as simple as you got, Florida State's doing a lot of renovations at Doak Campbell Stadium, some of which I'm not thrilled about, but we'll see how it all works out.
Are they taking your name off the broadcast?
Yes.
The JP Peterson broadcast?
What are we doing here? No, they're the beer garden. It was on the beer garden. Yeah. So we used to do.
Peterson Beer Garden.
We used to. This is pure genius, by the way. This is back in the day when we were in school. There was a student section, and then we would sit, about in the right corner, about halfway up, and we knew exactly where our seats were. So, and back in the day, they didn't lock up Doak Campbell Stadium. So we would come out on Friday afternoons and play a tackle football game, idiots that we are.
Yeah.
We could play until somebody came out and ran us off, which wasn't too often. But when we got there, we'd bring our liquor bottles. So instead of bringing them through the gate on Saturday, we'd go up to our seats in Doak Campbell Stadium, tape the liquor bottles underneath our seats. You couldn't see them.
Yeah.
So when we didn't have to bring them through the gate, we didn't have to carry them with us on game day. So we'd run into the stadium when they let us in, and we come up and we just go, put your hand down, bingo, and you'd have your liquor ready to go. Pure genius.
That is pretty genius, man.
That's pure genius. Yeah, absolutely. But those days are over. Those days are over. Can't do that place is locked up like a drum.
These days, it's not the same as like when you and I were in college and we were smarter than the facility, right?
Yes.
Now that's not the case anymore. The facilities are a lot smarter than the students.
There's a lot you could do on that field.
Yeah. True. And not all of it involved sports.
That's right. That's right. So anyway, I would prefer bringing in Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. And I know there's Northwesterns, there's the Marylands, and, there's the I get it. But, those big names, those huge names, Wisconsin, those bring cachet, prestige. I think it's just better. And we still don't know. It still very much could be the P2. And I think there's big changes coming. The bottom line is you had to get out of the ACC and and sending all your money to supporting all the other schools. It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And even TJ, like the suing Seminoles. What's that all about? What's that? Is that our new nickname now? The suing.
That's awesome.
You got to look out for yourself, right? At some point, you've been screwed for so long.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to say, how do we compete with Florida? How do we compete with where's Miami going? How do we compete with Alabama? How do we compete with? You can't, getting half the money in an era now where that money is going to pay the players. It's like having half the payroll. You can't survive.
And now's the time to do it because everything's happening. Literally everything around you is changing. So make it happen now.
And in this round of realignment, if Florida State announces we're a free agent, I would argue they are the top free agent available, and let the bidding war begin. Big 12, Big 10, SEC, whoever wants in, let the bidding war begin. So no matter what you think of FSU, they'll be the biggest fish in that pond because of their media rights and what they're worth.
Sure.
Just numbers are numbers.
Yep.
All right. That'll do it for us here today. And just want to say thanks to Ronde Barber. If you missed that interview, please go back and you can watch it on YouTube. We'll be putting it out there on social media as well. Twitter, our Facebook page, any of those places, of course, you can watch it. We thank Ronde. We thank TJ. We're going to catch up with some other guys next week. Dexter Jackson, Chris Hovan, Shelton Quarles, Derek Brooks. So we'll get all those guys on to talk about.
By the way, this was an amazing tribute to Monte Kiffin on short notice for all these guys to join the show and to pitch in and help out. Thank you to everybody.
Really, really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And Monty, rest in peace, my man. You're one of a kind. I love you like a dad, and you're the best. And we'll see you all on Monday or Saturday morning tomorrow. Tune in. We'll be live from Lakewood High School.